1945 to present, by Noel Hawkins. Contemporary literature. Contemporary literature is defined by L.J. as a vast group of written works produced from a specific time in history through their current age. This literary era defines a time period, but it also describes a particular style and quality of writing. Some see this period as an extension of postmodern literature, but most refer to it as a literary era of its own. The United States and the Soviet Union were so opposed to each other that each suspected the other of seeking to control the world. As soon as World War II ended, tensions grew between the two countries called superpowers because they were the strongest countries to emerge from the war. Both countries developed powerful nuclear weapons that they could use to destroy the other. Both countries created huge armies and posted them near each other's borders. They began to spy on each other, and they tried to convince other countries to join with them against the other. They created a world in which countries had to choose sides and join with the capitalist West or the communists. Genres include flash fiction, short stories, slam poetry, plays, memoirs, and autobiographies. Kevin Barry's Dark Lies, The Island is an example of flash fiction, which is a form of contemporary literature. History. Contemporary literature stems from postmodernism. However, it focuses on identity politics, people learning to cope with problems through communication. People's sense of identity is shaped by cultural and gender attitudes, and the emergence of ethnic writers and women writers. Postmodernism is a vital aspect of contemporary literature. It shows its readers how society moved into a new era of social, psychological, cultural, and economic prosperity and issues. Contemporary literature focuses on people's sense of themselves as time periods change in history. Through contemporary literature, people are able to define where a time period starts and when it ends. Psychological issue. After the events of the Second World War, the end of the war was met with much celebration and hope for the future. Prosperity and social conservatism are two vital things that emerged from the war. People began to realize all the injustices in society at the time and wanted to change. This started a change in society's identity in America to fit the characteristics of the land of the free. This is where we see contemporary literature break away from postmodernism because it tends to focus on American counterculture. For example, people of color and women sought to get the rights they deserved because under the United States Constitution, it says all men and women are created equally. Yet, this was not present in America at the time. People of color were harshly discriminated against and cheated of public goods, and women were just as oppressed and threatened merely as household objects. So, to counteract these injustices, people began to express their public opinion in the media. This can be seen in many contemporary writings, including Zora Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. Social issues. At the time that contemporary literature was created, there were several social issues happening in America. During this time, women and African Americans embraced the prosperity after World War II brought back to America, but were discouraged to find out that they still were not considered equals to non colored people. Even after fighting for them and taking care of their jobs while the men were out to war, non whites were still considered insubordinate to whites. To fight back against this system, a counterculture was born. This raised political rallies and sit ins to fight back against these social injustices. Activists like Alice Walker and Zora Hurston promoted these messages in their work to promote a better tomorrow. Cultural issues. Post World War II, the United States and Soviet Union were worried about each other. Both of them suspected the other of seeking to control the world for themselves. As soon as World War II ended, tensions grew between them because they were the two strongest countries after it. Both countries developed powerful nuclear weapons that they could use to destroy the other. Both countries created huge armies and posted them near each other's borders. They began to spy on each other, and they tried to convince other countries to join with them against the other. They created a world in which countries had to choose sides and join with the capitalist West or the communists. This was all created out of fear for each other. They believed that each other's way of life was bad, and only their way was the right way. So the culture that emerged was a scared but hopeful America. Political issues. Political issues that are associated with the creation of contemporary literature are the ones between the US and the Soviet Union. After World War II, the US and the Soviet Union emerged as the world's two superpowers. This began the Cold War. Both nations were scared that the other would try to take away its way of living, so they militarized, building more and more weapons of mass destruction to prepare for a war that never came. In a novel by Gary Richard, Politics as Usual, The Age of Truman and Eisenhower, he describes the world of politics after the war. The Red Scare is a major movement that swept the U.S. and influenced many contemporary works like Gary Richards. Religious issues. The religious issues of post-war America were little to known. Most people were focused on making a living. This was because the opportunities to succeed were much greater than any other times in American history. But there were some conflicts with hate groups such as the KKK who disliked Catholics. They made anti Catholicism campaigns and movements to stop the spread of it. This is where we see a push from writers who expressed public opinions on the issue of religion. Many novels, such as American Freedoms and Catholic Power, helped create a path for religious groups in America as we know today. Economic issues. In America economies, the economy boomed and people enjoyed access to a range of consumer goods, including fashionable clothes and shoes after World War II. This is because people had more time to focus on making America great. And when more and more people focusing on their craft to benefit society, the economy could have never been any better after the war. Reflection. All of this relates back to contemporary literature because it shows how it was created and modeled based on public opinion. Some works of contemporary literature include these: